of you were on Miss Marvel,
That's
the
right.
Disney show.
Probably the two biggest games that I'm in, Overwatch and then a game called Apex Legends.
You have more than 1 million followers on Instagram.
Which is insane.
A lot of it's from the video game,
Yes.
right?
I was on The Sopranos and I still don't tell people what I did. Why are artists told you're not a real artist unless you're making your living from that one thing?
Yes.
Taking away that myth of the starving artist.
Okay.
And turning it into the myth of the hungry artist. And I was like, well, if that's not the universe speaking to me right now through Arlan, I don't know what is.
Hi, Anjali.
Hello!
How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here right now. I can't even tell you.
I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Ever since we met, I have been devouring every bit of Arlan Hamilton content I've been able to get my hands on, and so for the better.
Well, that's
I've enjoyed it.
super flattering. Thank you. And you're an author, and you read my book, and all these different things. You know, it's just really flattering. I wonder, is there a resonance that you felt?
Oh my gosh, so much.
Yeah.
So many. The specific thing that hit me the most, it was last weekend when I was listening to the audiobook.
Yeah.
And I was having I had an unexpected 6-hour window that popped up because something got canceled, which never, 6 whole hours of not planned time. What is this beautiful dark magic? So I was using it to run errands, and I was using it to do a bunch of stuff. And lately, a lot of people have been telling me, no, you need to take the time to just stop, to just rest, to stop, to really stop, just stop. And I was feeling so full as I was listening to your book and organizing the office, and feeling so full as I was listening to your book and doing all the errands. And then I said to myself at one point, well, why do I have to stop? Why can't my self-care look like I'm getting things done? Because that's what it feels like to me. And right at that moment, I came upon that chapter of yours about self-care, where you say self-care doesn't have to be Instagrammable. And I was like, well, if that's not the universe speaking to me right now through Arlan, I don't know what is. Because
That's amazing.
I think we really do get this prescriptive sense from the outside world of what it's supposed to look like. And self-care, it's me. I get to decide, not someone else.
Even when it's with the best intentions,
Sure.
there's a specific way it's supposed to be. Actually, no, that doesn't. Because some people don't necessarily want a work-life balance. Some people like the
I
meshing
love
of it.
the mixture. I don't like balance so much, period.
Yeah.
Because, look, a seesaw at balance is boring. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I do love there to be equanimity.
Yeah.
I love that there's a push and a pull, and eventually it all kinds of it all kinds of evens out. But balance bores me.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about. I want to know everything. So, first of all, I just saw you with my wife Anna. I just saw you on Dead to Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that?
So much fun.
So it's a television show on Netflix with Christina Applegate and
Linda
Cardellini, who at one point was the highest paid actress on television against Mariska Hargitay a few years ago.
Really?
I just remember that as like a little.
I remember Ellen Pompeo on that
she
show
certainly
too.
is. She is now. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that about.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. Linda sure deserves it.
She was so. I mean, both of them.
So
We're out of this world in this series. So, did you watch the series before you got the gig?
I did. And we were in love with it. And also, I've never wanted to drink wine more than watching that series, which was very strange. Not really because they drink so much wine, but I loved it so much. We loved it, I and my husband both, because the chemistry between the two of them was so clearly like those two. The show wouldn't happen without those two. The rest of the cast was phenomenal. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, but there was just something about the magic of how they played off each other, and I have to say, and this is. It was such a joy to then be on that set, not just because I loved the show, but because the second I got there, you could feel why it was such a good show, because the energy there was positive. Everything was run really well. The showrunner, Liz Feldman, was also directing the episode, and I just felt so welcome and so valued. And as a guest performer, when you come on a show, you never really know what you're walking into. Like, you always assume, it's going to be good until proven otherwise. It's going to be an enjoyable thing. But a cast always has their own family that they've built together and their own rhythm, and you're just trying to slide in there and fit in and be a good dinner guest or whatever for how long you're there. And these ladies just welcomed me in like you wouldn't believe. And our scenes were not like happy material.
No, not at all.
But she was just so warm and so kind and so appreciative of the work that I had done before I came in, so that her job could be easy.
Yeah, when you say her, you're talking
Linda.
Linda, yeah.
Not easy, but easier.
Yeah.
And so she could do her thing because she's so
we don't want to
brilliant.
spoil it because they're going to be.
No.
I hate when people spoil stuff because
no,
I think it's been
no.
out for a few weeks. So no.
I was on The Sopranos, and I still don't tell people what I did because
really?
it's a big spoiler.
You were on this. Do you know? I mean, can you say what
Season
season?
6.
Season 6,
Yes.
Sopranos on it.
Yes.
Okay.
It was my second television job.
How many television appearances have you had?
No idea. A bunch.
What would you guess ballpark?
Somewhere around 100.
100.
I feel like.
And then, of course, we met through all types of people.
Yes,
who really
but through Alicia.
Yeah, Alicia,
Yes.
who I met through Diana Demina, and it's just such a beautiful kind of thing. And so, thank you to Diana and Alicia.
Yes, and Alicia, I have to give props to Alicia because she's been one of my North Stars. We've known each other since 2004.
Wow,
It was a long time ago. We did a show together in New York.
Yes.
And just the way she lives and the way she is with people, not just her incredible career, her great relationship with her husband, all of these, but just the way she is as a person. I was at a very low point when I met her, personally. And I remember looking at her and looking at David and thinking, these two are my proof that it's
gonna
possible.
be okay. Let me give a little context. Alicia, we're talking about, played Fig on Orange is the New Black.
Correct.
It's the quickest way to think about it because she's been on so many things, just like you. And the reason we met in that circumstance recently is because both of you were on Miss Marvel,
That's
the
right.
Disney show.
That's right.
The Disney Plus show.
Exactly. And what's so interesting to me, and we
Marvel.
were just talking about this before we started taping, she's such a sweetheart, and she plays such awful human beings
She really
so
does.
well.
She really does.
But it just seems to be a thing. Like I have so many friends who are just the sweetest people, and then all of a sudden you get them on film and they can pull it
do
out.
it. Maybe it's some sort of therapeutic thing.
Maybe. I mean, maybe they get it out of their system so they don't have to be that way in life.
She's fantastic. There are few characters as memorable as Fig on Orange is the New Black. And then Miss Marvel was so good and so fun and colorful and vibrant and fresh and different. How was that experience for you?
Exactly the words you described.
Yeah.
Like it was like, look, you would think that after you've been doing this for 25 years, you're like, okay, well, it's a job. You go in, I mean, it's a cool job, it's a job. Yeah. No, I was giddy every single day I was there.
Yeah.
Everyone who was there was so clearly a labor of love. Everyone was there because they cared about it, because they wanted it to succeed, because they cared about telling the story authentically and right, and not just authentic to the culture that was the sort of palette
the bedrock
that the story was being told on, but true to this character that we were going to learn about and launch into the MCU as this new giant superhero. And obviously she already had, the character was already fleshed out in the comics, but to bring her to life and to have this young lady, Iman Vellani, be so perfect for that role and such a great number one on the set, and it was just every day. I remember there was a day we were shooting a scene outside the mosque, and it was like 2:00 in the morning, freezing cold, but we're all dressed as if it's May. And I could not have been happier.
You were like,
not have been happier. I was like, this is awesome. I'm living the dream. Like, I just had a great time every time I was there.
Wasn't it just recently announced that her character is going to be now in the movie and with Brie Larson?
Yes, yeah. So that wasn't actually. Thankfully, it was announced a little while ago because I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah,
but there's a reason.
Yes,
there's a reason for that, and we see it in the series.
Yeah.
But it's more information is coming out. More and more information is coming out about what that story is going to be.
Yeah. Can I tell you that Marvel? Like, I'm not a big. I've had ex-girlfriends in the past try to make me like Star Wars fans or Star Trek fans, and I'm not big on that type of thing. Harry Potter, Twilight, none of that. But Marvel, for some reason, really resonates with me. And I think part of it, in addition to it just being fun and well done, I think, and like having the actors that I like, I think part of it is that as corny as it sounds, it's that I know that there's going to be like a few years of it. It's something to look forward to.
Sure.
It's like a family. And so the closest thing is my General Hospital. General Hospital is very close to my heart.
Have you been watching it since like Luke and Laura? Like,
I've been, they were I would have been 6 when they got married or something like that. But I have been watching it since I was a child.
I love this story. I remember that.
Yeah. So, but the Marvel, what is it like to be in that fabric?
It's like I know it intellectually, but it doesn't really sink in the way I would think it does.
Yeah,
because
it's
I still feel
in
like
a few years.
Well, I still watch everything. I watched Ms. Marvel, and I'm like, wow, look at how cool this show. Oh, I forgot I was in it.
And you're like, oh, that was.
Oh, wow, okay, cool. I'm in it. This is amazing.
For those who haven't seen Ms. Marvel or thinking about seeing it, tell us just a little bit about it, because it's so great.
Ms. Marvel is the introduction of a new superhero in the Marvel Universe, and it is it's a beautiful coming of age story, really. The only other story I think we have sort of similar to it in the MCU is Peter Parker. But the wonderful thing about Kamala Khan is that she comes in as, just like the rest of us do, she comes in as a fan of these characters. Now, they're real people on the show.
She's definitely winking at us, but we like it.
Yeah. And it's such a, a lot of the visual inspiration came from things like Scott Pilgrim, and so it's just fun and bright and wonderful, and it is a view into a culture that we don't see represented necessarily normally. Yeah. And I don't mean just like we normally see it. We don't see it normalized.
What is it?
The Pakistani Muslim culture. Yes. And so what I love so much about that is that every day we were on set, I'm like, this looks like growing up.
Yeah.
I'm Indian and I'm Hindu, but we had Pakistani Muslim friends, and we all intertwined, and we all spent days and nights and all sorts of time together. And every scene that you see with the family or the friends, it transcends any one culture. Because all of these stories are not about one thing, and all of these people are not just about one thing. They are the unique combination of all of the things that make them who they are. Yeah. And so I love the show. Watch it. I hope everyone loves it as much as I do. It's a fantastic show, and I cannot speak more highly about Iman Vellani. She's just phenomenal as a character.
Was she an actress before?
Nope.
Yeah, she was just sort of like...
Nope, she was a fan of...
How did they find her?
Well, so they were doing open calls.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was her auntie or her grandmother or someone, but in true South Asian form, they had a WhatsApp going on, and she, wrote in there, hey, they're doing this audition, you should go. And because Iman was such a huge fan already, she was like, okay, I don't really have interest in being an actor, but I would hate myself if I don't at least try.
Yeah.
And I mean, I obviously wasn't there, but by all accounts of the situation, everyone was like, oh, she is. Like, we're not just talking to this person who can act this role. She is this role.
It's so natural.
She's such a huge. Her Marvel lore rolls deep.
Yeah,
like she goes deep.
Yeah, I would like to see her with the character that was introduced in the last Doctor Strange, who is the
America.
Yeah,
America Vasquez. The two of them have become good friends.
Oh, really?
So
I'd like
lovely.
to see them interact, and I know you can't say anything.
I suspect we'll all have a chance to see that because I know as much as you do about the future of everything. Yeah. But that character, Iman's character, Ms. Marvel, has definitely been, like, she's now going to be part of that Marvel universe for a nice long time.
Great.
We're going to get a chance to see her playing with a lot of people.
What do you think of Bob Iger coming back?
I don't. I
mean, do you get into the politics?
No, I really
the
don't. I kind
stuff?
of purposefully don't.
Okay.
The only time I do pay attention is when there is, unfortunately, when there is something particularly...
Like harassment or something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. There's something particularly painful, and we see stories about that a lot.
But two old white guys yelling at each other is not really interesting to you.
Not so much, because for me that's... Look, there is... I am a producer, too, and I'm an actress, and I'm an author. And to me, part of the producer's job is to keep that away from the actors,
talent.
so they don't have to deal with that.
That's fair.
Or at least make a semi-permeable shield.
Yeah.
If they want to know, they can know. But I feel like in order for people to do their job, they have to have some kind of sense of stability. Yeah. They have to have some kind of sense that the people over there know what they're doing, so I'm going to do my thing because I know what I'm doing.
Because acting, like I watch Anna, my wife, I watch her in her learning acting, the craft, and I read scenes with hers. I'm always the person, and Got to say, I'm really good at that.
You know, partners have that. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have to do it.
That's my role for the rest of my life. But I figured out something, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here.
Me.
Okay, acting is playing make-believe as if it were real.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
That is exactly what it is.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
In order to, this is coming back to your point about having the cocoon, is that in order to do that, you can't be like distracted by the real that's happening over here. You have to be in where the mosque at 2 a.m. is a thrill.
Yes, and you do have to be, like, you're not completely in, you are still yourself. You do know the technical things that you have to be handling. But the more, just like in life, the more your team is handling things in your company or as an actor, your agents, all that, the more your team is handling all of those things, the more you can focus your energy on, this is the reason I'm here. I'm here to do this thing. And I do feel like for actors, we have been sold a false bill of goods in many ways. Well, a lot of us have, in that entrepreneurs and actors really are embarking on the same journey. It's just that actors are usually told, oh, you're going to struggle, or you're going to be bad with money, or you're going to have a day job for the rest of your life. Oh, you're an actor, or do you wait tables? Whereas most of the entrepreneurs I know in my life, I know that you definitely were like tenacious AF, but do you like that? Do you like that I just like completely kept myself from cursing there? But I think a lot more entrepreneurs are encouraged and so, this is great. You're innovative. You're doing this really cool thing. And we're doing the same thing. It's the only difference is that for actors and artists, you are the CEO and you are the product.
Yeah.
And so when we start and we are the team, it's very hard to differentiate between yourself and that product. And then as time goes on and you can build your team, you have your agent, you have your manager, or you have people, maybe you have assistants, whatever it is, the more you can build that team to pare away the things that distract you, the more you realize, oh yeah, this is the thing I'm supposed to be able to focus on.
Yeah.
And ideally, in a world where everybody knows what they're doing, like when you're on set, you trust that the director knows what they're doing so that you can do your job.
Yeah.
And so I that is a very long way of saying I generally don't lean into whether it is a studio politics or anything like that, because I have a low tolerance for hearing about things I can't do anything about.
Or don't need to do anything about in this case.
Yeah.
As long as the checks are getting cashed and
as long as everybody's being taken care of. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a whole other story if it's something where people need me to back them up, or if it's a movement that we're working
It also
on.
seems pretty stressful to, not in the Marvel world, but in the DC world, there's all kinds of James Gunn stuff happening, and it just seems stressful to be all in that as an observer. I can't imagine just being in it. So that's
and I think, I not being directly related to anyone who's been going through all of that, I personally, if I put myself in the shoes of someone who has, I think, okay, I am so intensely connected to my friends, and 90% of my friends are people that I work with, because I don't have time to hang out with my friends unless we're working together, so we work together a lot. And if I were to be in a position where I had to deal with that kind of angst on behalf of someone else, it would break my heart.
Yeah.
It would rip me apart.
Yeah.
And so I definitely feel for people who are involved in those situations, and I feel for people who were either feel like their rug got pulled out from under them, or they thought they knew someone, and they didn't. But I admittedly have done my best to. I don't know. I'm very lucky. I'm looking up here because I'm trying to think of any times that I have ever had a genuinely bad, abusive or whatever experience with someone in a show or on a set or anything. And I can think of one. There was a play director that locked me in a closet to tell me I was ruining the show.
Oh.
He no longer was with the show by the time we kept moving. But
wow.
And we got great reviews, so suck it. But yeah, I that's it. I really
and with
lucked out.
100 or more credits on television alone, not to mention movies and not to mention the voiceover work you do, to have that record, and theater, everything, to have that record of it being, you must still obviously enjoy it.
I love it.
Yeah. Do you think of it though? Going back to the analogy you gave to it being an entrepreneur, do you have kind of milestones and metrics you want to reach? I want to do this or.
So I do now. I've only in recent years really started to adapt my mindset to that thesis.
Yeah.
And I've also done so kind of like I'm like, how did I not know this before? This would have been so much less tumultuous on the inside. The benchmarks are difficult when you're an actor, mostly because so much of, like, say I want to say, okay, I want to hit a series regular by 2003 or whatever. That's not entirely in your hands.
Yeah. Well, I actually also mean, because this is your first million, I wonder too, do you think about like financial milestones? Because,
I do, but I don't, and this is another thing that I wish all actors and artists of all kinds could feel. I see those benchmarks, but I don't see them just from my acting. I don't look at them just from my acting.
So revenue streams, are you talking?
Revenue streams, because to me, this is, entrepreneurs, everybody does it. Everybody's told to diversify our portfolio. Yeah. Why are artists told you're not a real artist unless you're making your living from that one thing?
Yes.
There's no reason.
Yes.
Even A-list actors all have a side hustle. It's just a clothing line or a perfume.
Look at Ryan Reynolds.
What's his newest one?
Well, he has Mint Mobile, he has Wrexham.
Yeah. He's got so many things. And then Ashton Kutcher is doing venture capital work. And so I get frustrated on behalf of actors, and I very much want to not just diversify your financial life, but your creative life.
Yes.
Is very important. And by doing that, by having all different branches of the tree, of your storytelling tree, be a part of your career, you also protect yourself from, as we saw in 2020, you protect yourself from, well, what if one of these industries goes down for a while?
Yeah. What about the voiceover work? Because I don't do a lot of gaming, but tell me one or two games that you're the voice and what character.
Sure.
Because I know that people they come from all over the place to come see you at these events.
It's crazy. Isn't it wonderful?
You have more than 1 million followers on Instagram.
Which is insane.
A lot of it's from the video game,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what are the...
So probably the two biggest games that I'm in is a game called Overwatch, where I play a character named Symmetra.
Okay.
And then a game called Apex Legends, where I play a character named Rampart.
Wow.
And then a bunch of other games. And I feel like, for me, it's extra exciting because I was a gamer as a kid. I played Dungeons and Dragons from age 8, and then on our Apple II Plus, I would do a little bit of programming and all that.
You're a hacker.
I was not so much a hacker. Like when I say a little bit of programming, I was like, I'm going to make a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
But so I already had that love of games, and I have a love of gamifying everything. I really like
because
that.
You say that you take, what do you say, you take fun seriously?
I take my fun very seriously.
You take your fun very seriously.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
So I don't, like I said, I don't have a lot of time to be spending just having fun. Which sounds like just having fun. We all should be having fun.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I understand that, but when you have your concentrated periods of time, you really want to relish it. So if I don't take myself seriously, but I take my fun seriously. I take my fun as seriously as I take my career, as seriously as I take taking care of my relationship and my family, because there's no reason not to milk that time for as much as you possibly can. If I'm playing a game, I want people to commit. Let's play. And not be crazy. I don't mean be crazy
like
competitive. No.
Like,
I hate elimination games. So competition for me, it like knocks me out. I start I love collaborative games.
Yeah.
Which is why I like Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop role-playing games so much, because really it's just collaborative storytelling.
Yeah.
I do. I take my fun very seriously, and I make sure that if I'm going to choose to do something recreational, it's something I can really lean into. It's something I can really dive in with. And I'm very, very lucky that so much of my career right now also involves getting to play games, in addition to not streaming, but getting to play D&D with my friends at Critical Role or some of the other companies.
So talk about that again.
Yes. So there's a company called Critical Role, they are by no means the only one, but they're probably the most prominent company that are essentially streaming their live D&D game.
Wow.
And have been for years. And it started from just a bunch of voice actors sitting at home playing Dungeons and Dragons, and it exploded. And it is a worldwide sensation. watching
And
them.
people watch you play.
People watch.
Because that's the
yes.
thing. That's the thing. Yeah.
But the thing is, it's not, and no disrespect to people who are streaming video games, but I don't enjoy watching that so much. Yeah. But the reason I think people really enjoy watching these live action role playing games. Not live. We're not like running around with swords and everything, but playing the games is because it's long form improv.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing long form improv. It's just that we're not depending on the audience for suggestions. We're depending on a game master, and we decide what we want to do. But the dice decide whether we can do it or not.
Yes.
And so you're constantly working with each other to tell the story. And if you're playing with someone who's not committed to the story, it's no fun.
Yeah, so you have to. It's acting.
Yes.
In that game on itself. Yeah,
I feel like it's very important to let people know, particularly people who are only introduced to it through companies like Critical Role or Dimension 20 or some of these other companies that are doing incredible work. You don't have to be an actor.
No.
We all played pretend.
No, but it's like
kids.
it's fun acting. It's play acting. Yes.
And it's a great way to explore so much about the human condition. You can things that you maybe don't want to express about yourself in the real world, you have a chance to safely do that with friends.
Yeah.
You can play an evil character, you can play a powerful character, you can play a character with a lot of vulnerabilities. It's the world is yours.
Yeah, I imagine it has saved a few lives.
I am 100% sure.
I could see that very easily. Yeah. And your book, which is Fun Size, what's the full title?
I am Fun Size and so are you. Thoughts from a tiny human on living a giant life.
And your book stems from this YouTube channel you had that kind of came not out of nowhere, but it wasn't something you planned so much. So talk a little bit about the book itself, what you want people to take from it. Because Fun Size, I'm thinking, okay, you're going to talk about your height. Yeah,
it's Tiny Human or Candy Bar, one or the other. But for me, so when I first started the web series, the way it came about was I had fallen in love with this online community, this gaming community, the artists, the cosplayers, everybody who I was starting to get a chance to connect with through Overwatch and then all the other things that I was being involved in. And they were so generous. They would just give and give and give their art, their this, their that, support. That I thought, okay, you gotta get off your ass and give these people something more. You can't just like do this voice. There's something more that you can do. And the only thing that I have that no one else has is my set of experiences and the way I went through them, gracefully, not gracefully, failures, successes, whatever it is.
Sure.
And there was a combination of two things that really hit me the night that I decided to do that first episode and lay it out there. One, I'd heard Fun Size, and I used the term Fun Size for myself, but then I realized how exclusive that is, because it sort of implied, well, then only this person is built for fun. No, everybody's built for fun.
Yeah.
We're all built for fun.
Yeah.
Whatever, we're on the planet, we're built to enjoy it. We're built to have these huge lives. And then the problem is that so much in life can make us feel small, or play small, or feel alone, and that is something that just it is one of the greatest. It hurts my soul to think of people thinking that they're alone.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who say their worst decisions that they ever made, they made while they were drunk. Worst decisions I ever made, I made when I felt like I was alone. When I felt like no one understood me, no one would understand me, I was ashamed of myself, whatever it was. There's always someone out there, and I wanted so many of these lovely folks in the community would write me DMs and ask me life questions, and I'm like, well, I'm not qualified to answer this, but I can tell you feel you need to reach out to someone. So, I Am Fun Size was born out of that, out of me wanting to share something with them, and it's by no means advice. I am not a professional.
It's companionship.
Not
exactly.
It's
like,
just saying, you know what?
We're here. We're here.
We're here.
We're over here having fun.
And if someone would ask me a question, because I gave people my front-facing email address, Anjali at I Am Fun Size, and they would send in questions. And essentially, the show was about me saying, cool, well, so you asked me this question. Let me think about a story that happened in my own life and how I handled it, and that seems very similar.
Yeah.
And it forced me to really think about those questions and answering them in a particularly... In a way I hadn't heard someone else answer them before. Like, what does it really mean to me when someone asks me about that? It's the same as when people are like, how do you learn all those lines? And lots of actors are like, can you believe they asked that? I'm like, no, it's a real question.
Yeah, I have that question.
Well, for me, the answer is, first I memorize the thought process. then the feelings come out of the thought process, because when you are thinking something, thoughts become things. And then as you have those feelings, your character is acting on those feelings. So it's not just the lines that I'm working through, it's the sense, it's the train of thought that the character has. And so as long as I understand the sense of the scene, I'll go through, I'll do the scene, and I'll do the lines, maybe not word for word, but I'll do them with that thought process, and then I'll go back to the script and be like, okay, cool, that wasn't word for word, and then get that part exact. Yeah. But if I have the thoughts, that's it. My shield is impenetrable.
I mean, I was just talking to my brother about that, my brother Rook, about like how does someone who, is getting into acting, if that's the one thing that they're worried about. And I'm like, there's so many people who are actors, it can't be that is impossible to figure out.
Exactly. And everybody has their own way. When I was in high school, I used flashcards. Like, whatever works for you.
Do you teach this?
Do I teach this? I do not teach acting, but I am doing some seminars on the mindset, the basically taking away that myth of the starving artist and turning it into the myth of the hungry artist.
Yeah.
Because, no, you don't have to live out of your car, you don't have to starve, you don't have to struggle, but you do want to stay hungry.
Yeah.
Because you can't create if you're not just the tiniest bit hungry. People call it a little bit crazy, I call it a little bit hungry. And so I do that. But I also, as far as acting is concerned, everybody has to figure out their own set of tools, or how to use their own set of tools. I think the best acting schools and the best acting teachers just lay out the tools and teach you how to use them, and then you decide what your toolkit has. That's what
like
I wanted the book to be.
game.
Yes, just like a video game.
See?
And it's what I wanted the book to be too. The book is like a series of essays, and most of them are based on the same questions from some of the episodes, but some are not. And it's very much like a take it or leave it. Like, read it in any order.
Yep.
And here's my story.
Yeah.
Here's my story.
An anthology,
it might work for you.
even.
Yeah. It might work for you. It might not, but it might just shift the way you look through this kaleidoscope just like 1 degree, so you suddenly see an answer. And it might not be my answer, but you might see it because something triggered that in you.
What sort of response to the book have you had?
It's going to make me cry. I have had an unexpectedly beautiful a set of responses to the book. I did not expect it to become a bestseller right away. That alone was. I'm speechless, which obviously I don't get very often, as you can tell.
You do not.
No, but the responses that I have read and the reviews that I have read from people, where they say it's like sitting with your best friend, or it's the book you didn't know you needed. Even people who hate, what do they call it now? Prescription nonfiction, which is essentially self-help, and I don't like self-help either. I'm like, I will help myself. I'm not going to read a book about it. It's just, even people who don't like that genre understand that this is cool. Yeah, I don't know how to solve your problem, but why don't we talk about, you know what? I remember this thing happened.
Yeah.
I remember this thing happened, and this is what, does that trigger anything? And more than anything, the messages that I've gotten about people saying, I thought I was alone.
Yeah, which is exactly what you were hoping for.
It has become my number one mission in life. And I say this a lot, too, that I didn't understand necessarily early on why I was an actress. But I also feel like your passion and your purpose are not the same thing. Your passion is the way you fulfill your purpose, right? So my weapon of choice to fulfill my purpose is storytelling. But my purpose is, what do you want and how do we get it? You want to go on a journey? I got you. You want to experience this thing? You want some catharsis through this story? I got you. I got you. Stay where you are. You don't have, your life doesn't have to change, but I'm going to help you have this experience, and maybe that'll change you. Or maybe not. Maybe you'll just be happy and you'll leave the theater or you'll leave the show.
And why is that important to you?
Because like I said, I spent too many years mistaking, like really not understanding, like being a thirsty fish in the ocean.
That there
was so
people,
much love.
Yeah.
There was so much love. There was so much support. And not just from people I knew. There's strangers, complete strangers all things being equal, I honestly think we lean towards supporting each other. Complete strangers, you see someone in pain, your instinct is not let me punch them. Your instinct is let me think, how can I stop that? How can I help?
Because I don't want anyone to mistake this with, you're an actress, people know you, so of course people care.
Yeah, no, I mean, nobody knew me. Nobody knew me for a nice long time, and still a lot of people don't know me. But there's, and also there were so many times in my life, when we talk about benchmarks, there were so many times in my life where I was living the dream on paper and I was miserable. Because I didn't know. I didn't know these specific things, these bright, shiny dots on the timeline of my life are not my life. I thought the show was the thing, or the boyfriend was the thing, or all of these things were the thing. And I couldn't see all of these beautiful things that were being thrown at me by people. You know, when you're in a bad relationship, you only want the attention from that person, and meanwhile you've got your whole family and all your friends telling you how much they love you, and you're like, I don't care, I care about him. And that, I can't tell you how many years I spent doing that.
Yeah.
So that's the reason. I don't want anyone to feel like their dreams are unattainable. I don't want anyone to feel like happiness is unattainable, because believe me, I spent many, many, many years thinking it was not attainable for me. And feeling guilty about that, because I grew up with a fantastic family. I wanted for nothing. So if I was feeling that, I must be being ungrateful. What right do I have to feel miserable? Okay, well, you have a right to feel anything, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
There's someone here. There's always someone here.
With all that you've done, is it fair to say you'll do another 100 TV shows, or what is the next sort of step for you?
I mean,
or does it have to be one? Does there have to be one?
It's not planned.
Yeah.
It's definitely not planned. Like, my benchmarks don't have to necessarily do with what the project is.
Yeah.
Or what the project is going to look like.
Yeah.
I know that I'm working on some projects. I know I'm producing this show, and I know that I'm working on this book and all of that. But the dream project, I have no idea.
But I wondered that too, because I guess it's two different questions, even though I'm asking the same way. Like, is there, like mine is, I want to be on General Hospital, but I'm not an actor.
Fair.
So that's the only dream, is to be on General Hospital.
Okay. Which is totally doable.
Working on it.
And it's totally doable.
Yes. Everybody wants me on Shark Tank. Same channel. Just put me on. Just take me a little bit.
Just like daytime.
What is there like? I guess just is there an actor or a situation that it may not be like you do it forever, or it's like the only thing, but it's just like, for one day I'd love to be on that set.
Yeah, there are so many. Like it's like I can't even pick one. And I've been very lucky, because a lot of them have happened. Working with Linda was one of them. She was so extraordinary. I am in love with so many of the Brits, like Sir Ian McKellen. Oh my God, Helen Mirren.
You mentioned her a lot in your book.
Woo! I love Helen Mirren. There is no, I mean, she's everything. And she swears, which I dig.
Yeah.
But she's fantastic. Like, watching her and Harrison Ford in 1923
that just came out, yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. And so the depth that so many of those actors, I love Gary Oldman, I love Sir Ian McKellen, I love Patrick Stewart. I've loved him since I, Claudius, way before, Star Trek.
Have you been on Star Trek?
I have not. That is definitely.
I feel like you should be on Star Trek.
I feel like I should be on Star Trek too.
I feel like that
it's
is
not
like
for lack of trying, but it's definitely, it's very much in my wheel. I did play a Vulcan in a commercial once.
Oh, very interesting.
So that counts, I hope.
Is Sir Ian McKellen? No, that's Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Is Patrick Stewart doing any more Star Treks?
I believe that was this is last season of Picard, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think. I mean, I'm amazed that he is like he's.
They need to do like one episode with you.
I would. You know what? I agree, and I think
Let's manifest it.
All right, I'm ready.
Y'all watch? Y'all watching? Are you watching?
We're going to make it happen.
Okay, we're going to make that happen.
Make it happen. I will say that I had an extraordinarily wonderful conversation with Jonathan Frakes, who plays number one on Star Trek The Next Generation, and also came back for Picard, and he's directed a lot of the new Star Trek shows, Discovery, and I think some of the others. And we had such a wonderful, of all places, an airport lounge, just such a wonderful conversation about acting and how lucky we are.
Yeah.
To get to do this, and how lucky we are that we will go to conventions and people want to meet us because we want to meet them.
Yeah.
It's so I know people think that conventions are all about the community and I hate calling them fans because we're all part of one thing, but they think it's all about the people coming, the attendees. But I get so much out of actually getting to connect one-on-one with people who are taking in the things that we're creating. Because otherwise, where do you get to do that?
Well, so it's I think about that a lot with musicians get that when they're on the road, they get that instant feedback. And actors, that's why so many actors, even ones doing, so much work, they're genuinely surprised when people kind of recognize them or come up to them. I think that's fascinating.
It still surprises me. And especially when it's from a play. Because I will still, it's mind-boggling to me that people will still recognize me from my first Broadway play, and that was 20-something years ago.
That reminds me, you should do a little Shakespeare with my mom.
Oh my goodness!
A little Shakespeare with her. Yeah.
Oh, I'm very excited about that. That's going to have to happen. We're going to add that to the Star Trek one.
No, I mean,
Star Trek, and then go do some Shakespeare with
Mom. Yeah, we'll do a little bit. Yes.
But yeah, we don't necessarily get that immediate gratification of the audiences and that connection with the audiences. And my husband is a touring musician, and so whenever we're at his gigs, you feel that. You feel how everybody thrives and really just like the energy boils over.
100%.
It's so good, right?
Yeah.
Like live music, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
But musicians want to be actors.
Some.
A lot of them want to be, or athletes. There's always, grass is always greener. I say the grass is always greener because there's a lot of fertilizer on that side.
I've never heard that before, but I like it, and I'm stealing it.
I'm sure there's a better way of saying it, but that's what I too don't want to curse up a storm over here.
Right.
But that's how I keep myself from having FOMO.
I like that. Like
there's some bull going on over there.
I also I think of the grass is always greener. At least this is maybe my way of justifying it as no. I'm just appreciating the thing that they created. I'm not saying I'm not saying mine is not good.
Yeah. That's
when I say to another woman, "Oh my God, you look so beautiful." That's not me saying I look like shit.
Yeah.
It's me saying you look so beautiful.
Yeah.
I wish I looked like that in that dress. I don't. I have a different body. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's all right.
But it's usually not paid a compliment. It's usually people are seething. I talked about this very recently with the group.
Yeah.
They're seething with jealousy. I remember I was visiting a friend at a new house. And this house was just amazing. It's just incredible house. And this is probably 12 years ago or something. And I was completely broke. I didn't have anything, 2 pennies to rub together. And I was with another friend. And we parked and we're going to go in. And my friend said, I can't do it. She said, I can't go in there. I'm going to be too jealous.
Oof.
So she missed the thing. So I walked in there and I looked around and I said, one day.
That's the difference, isn't it?
That's it.
That's all it is. It's the difference between whether you think you can do it, whether you use it as proof of what you can't have, or whether you use it as proof of what you can create.
Yes.
Like your story is such a perfect example of that, because you obviously from what was existing in front of you at the time, there was no reason for you to think immediately I'm going to be a venture capitalist. I'm going to invest in over 200 companies. Yeah, this is this is going to happen. But because you did, it happened because you saw everything along the way as proof of what was possible, not proof that someone else took your cheese. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That along with the feeling alone thing, I think that's only a close second to the most destructive force in someone's life.
Yeah.
Is looking at what someone else has and saying, oh, well, that's why I can't.
Yeah.
Or why can't I?
Sure.
You can. You can have that exact one. That would be weird.
We wouldn't want it.
No.
Wouldn't want it.
You want yours.
Yeah, I want that. And I think the more good energy I put out and saying, I'm so happy for my friend. Yeah. And I one day I'm going to have something like this because why wouldn't I? Mm-hmm. That's how you go from A to Z.
Absolutely. And the feeling. Connecting with, so this is how I set goals nowadays, and it might sound a little woo-woo, but I'm not every time I've tried to set a goal that was very specific, like the whole SMART goals thing, specific, measurable, all that, every time I've done that, it hasn't quite resonated with me, but every time I say, ooh, I really want that thing, okay, why do you want it? What are you going to feel?
Yeah.
What's the feeling you're chasing? Because that's the goal.
Yeah.
that feeling is what is the goal, and for you, I would imagine that so much, but specifically because of the mission that you were on with Backstage Capital, so much of the goal was I have to make this company because it's going to do so much good in the world, and ain't nobody else doing it.
Yeah.
So I got to be it. It's going to be me.
Yeah.
Of course, it's going to be me because nobody else
definitely
doing it.
Got good at not putting so much pressure on myself because black women tend to have that one chance you're out. But I did say, what if I could make this happen?
Yeah,
what if I could? That'd be amazing. And it's definitely been the motivator. And
well, being of service, and I know that the word is probably thrown around too much, but there's no better word for it. I think being of service, if what you are doing is not serving some kind of a higher goal outside our own desires, it doesn't last.
Yeah.
Like it's never satisfying.
Oh, I would have stopped working on this Backstage years ago.
I would have been so...
If it weren't for... But then you get to see this film comes out, this TV show comes out, somebody comes up to your book comes out, somebody comes up to you and says, this resonated with me, this meant this to me. And especially your favorite line, I felt less alone because you did X, Y, Z.
I mean, it is... Yeah. I never thought that I could cry more happy tears than sad. I never thought that there would be a period in my life where that would happen. And I'm there now, and now I don't ever want anyone to feel that way. I don't ever want that to feel that way because these when we leak out our eyeballs, it should be because there's too much, we have to let it out.
Yeah. It's a well of joy springing forth.
Exactly.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh, I love talking to you.
Yeah. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I know we're going to have a part 2 because I feel like we've scratched the surface of what we could talk about. I've loved every minute of this, and I appreciate your time. I know you're running between gigs and doing all kinds of stuff to make this work, so I appreciate you.
Thank you. No, thank you. And again, thank you for having me because I do think... again, the worlds that we both walk in are much closer than a lot of people think.
Yeah. And entrepreneurship, the creative world.
Yeah,
yes.
It's very, very similar. And you create on a daily basis. You are actively using your creative mind on a daily basis to do the things you do, just like any other artist is doing.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.